About 80 high-end troops here. I hate leaving them because we may need them to fight the Khuzaits, but we want to have a good garrison here. We're at about 350. The garrison plus this militia that's rapidly growing. We left some good troops there. It's going to be at 500 in no time, and I think that is sufficient. And let's break them right here. Let's break the episode. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. This is Bannerlord. This is War Sales, and you are watching our Epic Nord campaign. We have made the full sweep across the north. We have taken every Nord city except Valvik, way to the northwest. Now we left a good size, or are going to leave a good sized garrison here, and that is essential because we're not going to be fighting in this zone for a little while. We've got some objectives in today's mission, right? I'm very much watching the Khuzaits. We want to continue to try to put our foot down on their invasions. To the west, we're having some difficulty with the Aserai while we are out of town, but we've got some good-sized garrisons now. I suspect they will be able to hold out at least another week or two before we can make it back there. Wazuban and the Aserai are starting to eat into our territory there. This is natural, though, at this stage of a campaign. 208 days now we have been at war with the Nords, working on almost 3 years worth. And we're going to try to renew our alliance here with Emperor Nethor again. This guy will continue to build into the storyline. We're trying to find him because we need to marry off our daughter per the agreement. Of course, you may have seen the cutscene. If you didn't, we agreed to marry off our second daughter to him, Lagertha. So we're going to look for the Emperor, get her married off to him. And then we're also looking for a bride for Eric the Red. Eric the Red is Glaron Heavyhand's oldest son. He's 21 and he needs to get laid, right? So we've got to get this guy hooked up with a nice bride. We'll see what Emperor Nethor has in store for us. Any 67-year-olds that he's willing to give Eric for that really bad porn channel. And we're going to continue to look for Khuzait forces as we cut our way down south here. So if you called our ship to us, it shouldn't take too long, right? It was just on the opposite side of the shore there, although that would take weeks in real time. They kind of teleport. I was going to say it is taking a long time. I called it, and it's just now arriving. We've gone in here, I think. Yeah, we don't need... there's no troops for us to pull. We do need to repair our ships. Let's go ahead and let's take care of that. And also, you can't recruit troops from here, right? So, what do we want to do here? I'm trying to think. I'm tempted to leave some troops up here, right? Because that way they will function as village protectors. If shit starts to get raided, they will do a good job defending it, right? You need to have some forces at a new city. They will also sometimes go into the city if it's being besieged. So in the short term, it acts like a temporary garrison, right? We can actually... We need to make sure we keep the leader. Rafard is the leader of these of the Company of the Boar, but maybe Sigvatar Thodarson will form an army, make sure they have plenty of influence here, and hopefully they will continue to protect our frontier and other locations. Our ships are repaired now. We've got 3 great ships, right? We're going down the river. There's always a chance that there's a force coming up the river, although the AI still doesn't use ships as much as we'd like. And there's where that Khuzait force is. They were the ones that struck at Balgard, and instead they headed south. So the good news is we travel very quickly on the river, especially in wintertime. It's much, much better. Even though it still says snow, minus 0.3. Look at our speed now, right? Pushing 4.0, right? That's really nice. And of course, at least in the short term, we're taking all the fiefs. We will be making more companion clans down the road, but not quite yet. I'm going to hog them all until we can determine the best ones to give to our companions. And we're still cultivating these companions to give to them. Now, Eric the Red is becoming a badass. His character looks amazing. That is unedited, and it's like a great amalgamation between the bald Glaron Heavyhand and his savage wife. I'm not sure where the red's coming from. Maybe the mailman has red hair, or maybe Glaron Heavyhand's head is kind of red, right? He's getting some gray in his beard, so it's kind of a different color, gray. It's kind of a grayish blonde. In any case, Eric the Red looks great, and Wazuban. Yeah, there's not much I can do about it, right? He's at least 2 weeks away at Navyank's castle. And I think there's 400 troops there, so it should last a little while. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to make it there to defend it, but the good news is by having these fortified castles, it does eat into the time, the recovery. As they siege, they lose troops. They have to leave a garrison, so it slows down the Aserai invasion. And critically, it's going to allow us to get back at least to save the cities, right? They won't be able to take Omor or Varcheg. So we're also going to hit cities on the way by, right? We're looking for the Emperor. He's down there somewhere. It says themes. I always think of Thames. What's it called? You guys call it the... What's it called? You guys have the English River that goes through London. Isn't it called like the Times or something like that? It's not at all said like it's spelled. It's one of those strange things. Now we can see the edges here, so we could easily spot if that Khuzait force heads north. They already took the city, so that's not them. That's not them, unless they've reformed already. But you know where they're going, right? They're going to Hargard. I don't think so. You have been spotted. We go faster than them. They're on land, right? So they're trudging and crunching through the snow. We can't call anybody right now, but we can add some armies here and intercept them unless they go around. Here they are. Yeah, these guys are baked. Of course, they outnumber us, but we talked about it before we headed north, right? By adding these crossbow, right? These Company of the Boar, our army is customized to destroy Khuzait. I dare say we have the perfect army here to destroy the Khuzait. If we had 100 heavy cavalry, it would be perfect because it's always nice to round them up with some heavy cavalry once they're reeling, or to countercharge them, to force them through some trap or some other mix of units that you want. So 12, 17, a day and a half. It's actually worth it for us to stall here for a little bit, to have these armies join us, because again, the reinforcement system kicking, we want help here. We want to make sure that we can beat this Khuzait force. They're much more likely to get reinforcements than us. So by calling in these armies here, damn, he might be able to take Omor. By calling in these armies, I think there's a decent chance they join us. And even if they don't, I don't know if it's going to matter here. We'll conveniently move towards our boat, so Sasha here can get obliterated and dash herself on the rocks. That is known as our Nord army here. It's an amalgamated force, but man, is it becoming a lethal, world-destroying machine. Make sure all of our settings, sometimes they get knocked out of whack, or we make a cutscene or something. All right, we're set here. Let's do this shit. Now, long term, in the future, we'll continue to edit out battles, maybe that are boring, right? We definitely want to have at least a handful of battles against the Khuzait here, even battles like this that figure to be relatively manageable, maybe even easy, I dare say. I dare say easy. We've got some ridges to use there to get a blind angle on them, reverse slope decline on the left. And I think we can just use a simple circle here, right? With shock troops. It's shield and shock Khuzait style, right? We do this a lot of times in other episodes, giving advice for how to defeat the Khuzait with cavalry, but it works okay with infantry. The reason cavalry work better is they absorb even more arrows. So the simple concept is a ring of shields around a whole bunch of shock troops in the center. It's like a new donut, right? It's tough on the outside and destructive on the inside. It's a highly destructive tactic, right? If they run anywhere into the circle, they absolutely get pulverized. And at some point or other, those protected shock troops will have horse archers in their midst. They'll get charged, and then you countercharge, and those guys will waste horse archers. We want this cav division to be shielded in case they have to shield wall. And then the 5th Corps, we can kind of put back a little bit, right? Off to an angle. We know they're going to try to circle from our right, or from our left to our right. With the skirmishers. This 2nd division here too, we're going to have an anti-cav division, although at least at first glance it looks like they have no heavy cavalry. It says 450, here let me show you, 453 horse archers. That is like the most I've seen in a long time. But it's actually optimal. Hopefully they don't have heavy cavalry. Heavy cavalry against our army will do better. Horse archers are going to get destroyed. All right. Get these guys into a good location. I like to tell the 1st Division in an instance like this to stand still, right? That way if they get knocked around by cavalry or killed, nobody scurries around trying to fill the hole. We do that with cavalry, but it's effective with infantry, so just tell that division stop. And take a peek here inside the ring, and that looks beautiful, right? Just a bunch of Skjoldbrestiers and Ulfhednars. Charge that, right, if you want to die. And we don't have 300 Huskarls anymore, right? Our army has suffered through the war of attrition. We've got a mix. We've got a bunch of skirmishers. You know, we've got Sturgeon infantry. We've got some Battanian infantry. We've got Naute now, right? We've been leveling up these Naute. I think I talked about it last episode or the one before. You can see all the javelins here, right? Instead of Legionary, I've been sticking with Naute. I never said we were going to hamper our army here by taking nerfs. We're already making the campaign hard enough with all kinds of different effects, and this is just perfect, custom made to destroy Khuzaits. This square here absorbing attention. The skirmishers are going berserk. The shock troops are now, look, they're being charged, right? Charge. That 3rd Division over there, look at those boys in their charge. I like to tell them to stop moving too. This poor lord here just trucked. And this division here, in this 1st Division, what they do is they protect me from these arrows. I can command beautifully from the front, keep an eye on things from behind here. They absorb cavalry charges, and vitally, they absorb arrows so that I can work with my two-hander and just wreak havoc. The skirmishers are behind them, throwing javelins, and the screen is flushing green here, despite the fact that it's a pretty good-looking force. They got lots of heavy lancers and elite cataphract, and we can add them to the glue factory. I see Marius the Impaler right there wailing away. I love it. You see the companions in there. Sick 'em, boys. I love seeing the companions in the battle, right? Marius is part of the 6th. Marco's in the 1st. It's a joy to have the companions on the field. We'll back up here a little bit, right? Those archers are pounding the rest of our forces. Let's destroy their horse archers without being pestered by a bunch of little archers, right? They're almost exclusively shooting that single division, that 2nd Division. It's tough duty in there. I think that's Skeld. I don't remember who's in the 2nd Division, but they obviously have the worst duty for this battle. They are being frizzed and frayed. But we're going to have reinforcements moving up here. Now, all the graphical effects, I think, maybe from the fire arrows. Right? Apologies for that. I got to focus on these lords that want to die. And we'll continue to tinker with the settings, right? Sometimes you get too many mods going and you can start really affecting the gameplay negatively. I think we're right on the edge of too many. Now, this force of infantry and archers has no support, or very little support. That means they're slow. Our forces move fast. We have 3 speed banners amongst our 6 divisions. 4, actually. The 3rd just got theirs. And so we closed the vice here. 6th Division, 3rd Division on this side, 1st and 2nd on the other side. The 2nd is really not a division anymore. They're like 10 guys standing there on fire. The 4th and 5th are raining in arrows over the top of all this, and it's just a glorious scene with the fire arrows. They've allowed our 6th and 3rd Division get completely behind them here. We'll make sure the archers can't retreat by sending a bunch of axe murderers into their midst. Look at these archers. All of a sudden, they're going to face the Skjoldbrestiers on speed. They're on a speed banner, so they're ripping, even though they're in the snow here. Oh, shit. Damn, that did a 131, that did. I took one right in the face. And it shows you how mortal you are. Of course, he's still upright, right? 131. May not last the whole battle, but what a flush of green that was. Merritt gets a kill, and it's just glorious to watch. I mean, I love a good death spam. Now, they killed my daughter. It makes me angry. Someone killed my daughter in real life. I would kill their relatives that aren't even born yet. I would be an absolute murderer. I think the world's probably lucky. I don't have a bunch of children that might be hit by a drunk driver. I would just go around just killing drunk drivers. Like, I would be a mass murderer if some drunk killed my daughter on the way from school or something like that. The world is in a much safer place that I don't have a bunch of children. Now, the 6th here is starting to absorb the attention while our other divisions move up. I've got to get archer support here. They've got a bunch of units there. But on the left, we've got 3 divisions that we can charge with. Archers can target the horse archers. And this, just like we predicted, this Khuzait force is being shattered by our army composition here. I mean, we're suffering losses, but we are whipping this Khuzait force despite being outnumbered, despite them having, you know, all these mods that are making their armies stronger. Even the second wave of reinforcements, they've got a bunch of tier 4 and tier 5 units, but it just has no chance against our Khuzait killing machine here. What is the biggest weakness to the Nords? I had a guy ask, and I was just thinking about it, like, what is our problem going to be? You know who it is? It's the Aserai. The Aserai probably have the best design kingdom. Oh shit, some guy got behind me. Here we go. We got Marco. All right, everybody charge. Hold that thought. There's a shit ton of Khuzait here. This is like 500 troops. Everybody get up here. Damn, we might not be able to withstand it. Get those archers moving forward. The good news is that some of these have to be tier 3, tier 4 units, right? So if we back this 6th up, we can form a square here. We got 104. Let's form a square here. They're just absolutely shredding us on the with arrows. If we can get below this ridge, sometimes you get distracted by trying to tell an anecdotal story mid-battle, and you get cut down. Of course, most of the damage, it must have been a dark hand, I think, threw a spear, one of their little jagged spears, right into our face. It was like point-blank range. That's, I think, the most damage I've seen in a long time. It did 131, I think, which is incredible. And it wasn't the Lord. All right, now we can move in. We got shock troops behind here. I'm getting little tiny sound glitches. We may do a hard reboot here after this battle. Sometimes with so much shit going on, my sound card starts to get fritzy, and sometimes the narration can suffer a little bit. You're probably just, you know, hearing it on the fridges there is sort of stuttering as it tries to deal with all the different people yelling and shit. And usually, if I restart my computer every day or two, it usually fixes it. Marco. Let's get in here, Marco. We've got this 3rd division just roaring up with the speed bonus. I mean, you know, Isak the Terrible's in there too, just mauling people. I see Rafard getting kills. That's our crossbow. Let's get some kills here for Marco. Look how fast the shock troops move. For the heavy hand. Oh, okay, so we're getting armies joining us too, right? That's a great sign that this battle is over, because that means we're going to have these crossbow units up here in a minute. They still have a lot of cavalry and tough units, so you don't let up here. But a lot of their forces look like unless they're running to a really odd location to reform, they look like they're fleeing. And I don't blame them. They're getting shredded. Shock troops blast through their archers. They got some cavalry here sort of menacing us, so the 3rd division can target them. Skjaldbestiers and Ulfhednar's blasting all these poor cavalrymen. They had no chance. Just butchered. We could get Marco on a horse, right? The Glaron Heavyhand is down, right? So he won't even notice, right? We'll just slip onto a horse here, get Marco some horse perks here at the end of the battle. When the Overlord is down, right? When the tyrant is unconscious somewhere, the kids will play with their cavalry, right? Marco jumps on a horse here. Of course, it's not necessary. This force is definitively routing. But I kind of miss fighting on a horse, right? This whole campaign, including the build-up to it, the first 21 episodes of the heavy-handed campaign, we've been off our horse. But another successful battle here. As you guys enjoyed the up part of it, right? Just like a movie. These campaigns, it feels like there's a script, and there is an actual script right in the background. I'm having cutscenes and talking about diplomatic shit, and people are getting married. You know, we add some flavor to a Bannerlord campaign, but there's also a tendency in campaigns like this, especially with the mods we're using, to have the ups and downs, right? And we're highly vulnerable to various different elements of this campaign that ordinarily you would not be, right? The reinforcement system, even right now, 2,000 Khuzait could pour in and swing this battle. So you want this battle over, right? You want to just have every guy here fleeing. And sometimes, just like that, you just needed to cut down a few more guys and they will rout, right? When an enemy's morale is starting to fade, You want to get in there and start lopping off heads. Now, hopefully no death, right? Again, the death for all mod is cranked, and I see one. Damn. And we just saw him on the battlefield. Marius the Impaler is killed. That sucks. Brother, we will try to get you back in the campaign. Of course, usually I reach out, especially if it's Patreon supporters, to you guys and say, hey, you know, we're 4 episodes ahead or whatever. Do you want me to get another character in or something like that? Because, you know, we're trying to keep you guys invested, even though death is part of Bannerlord, and we have it turned up to like 4 or 5 times the normal rate. So there's going to be death. An enemy noble died there as well. And all I can say is, apologies, brother. I'm sorry that happened, but it is the nature of the campaign. And of course, guys like Marco and the other guys that have been part of the Vlandian and Aserai campaign know that that is a feature of our campaigns. It's a little bit like Game of Thrones, where every episode, that guy that you were rooting for or that storyline that you were following with zeal, the guy gets his throat slit. I'm not going to, you know, slit the throat of any of our companions, but obviously, battle is deadly. It was back then. And it remains in this campaign a factor. So what I've started to do is we've started to take their equipment, with one exception, right? We're leaving them basically gear of war. We're just not going to bury them with elite equipment, right? We've got some companions that have legendary armor, right? Really high-end armor. So very respectfully, we're going to go in here and make sure that we're not losing any priceless artifacts. Like I'm willing to let all of this stuff go. Although I like those boots and gloves. And his shield is battered. I wonder if that might be from like the original. Maybe that's why he died. We got to make sure our characters have good gear. His shield broke and he got killed by the same attack, by the same thrust. Apologies, brother. We'll make sure that I'll make sure he's a little better attired next time. And the rest of the stuff, I think you just let go, right? You bury him with honors. We can take his banner. He doesn't need that. We'll bury him with his spear and his axe laid across his chest. I wish there were cutscenes for all the companions, but in any case, Marius the Impaler, brother, I barely knew you. And we move on. That is the nature of it, right? We have an evening. Somebody sings a dirge to the loss of the Impaler. And we move on in this campaign. And jump on our ship here, and we'll see if there's any other opportunities, right? If we see a Khuzaits force along the shore here, they're going north, right? We know they're going to Hargard. So hopefully, I say hopefully, they attack the Northern Empire, because then we can help. But if they head this direction, we've got at least some chance to see them, because we're riding along the shore, obviously, and if they're heading north, we've got a good scout. We'll be able to see them. So just like that, they disappeared, but there's another army right here. This was the same army that sieged Balgard. So the only thing is they have cavalry. I'm not sure we can catch them here. Damn, what a conundrum. They might turn to attack us here. Shit, otherwise we're going to have to get on our boat and chase them down. The good news is we'll be able to catch them. The bad news is I just wasted time. Your time and our time. We need the time too, because there's a decent chance that the Aserai, you know, are building up an army of 4,000 to siege Omor or something like that. There hasn't been another castle or city that lit up, but you know, there's nothing at home to defend, just the garrisons. So if you don't intervene in situations like that, you're going to lose those garrisons 100% of the time. Not sometimes 100%. So at least we're going to be able to cut this guy off. And since it's almost in the exact same spot, let's do some different tactics here, right? That last tactical exposition would probably work here again. I can edit this if it's just it's even going to be at night like the other one. But let's just fight this. I'll keep narrating and we'll see what we do here. I hate editing out big battles, and it's still a big battle. We're going to have much bigger battles as this campaign develops, but there's a small chance we lose a battle like this, especially if reinforcements come in. But I don't want to just, skip fast forward and say, oh, we did this, we did that. Eventually, we may have to do that, right? If we're just fighting battle after battle after battle after battle, where they're sort of what I would consider a normal of what do they call that? A garden variety. This is like a garden variety Khuzait force, and they're going to get shredded. It looks like we have even more crossbow here. We added another company of the boar, and we have 52 cavalry. So you know what? Let's do some different tactics. 2 squares. We're going to do a bum rush here. We're going to have 2 divisions on defense, 1st and 2nd, and then the 3rd and 6th. What we're going to do here is collapse on the enemy as they charge us. We can also use this cavalry. We're not using cavalry much in this campaign, but at least this episode, let me just show you what I would do. Purely defense, right? If you have 150 cavalry here, you use them on offense. But when you have 50, they're supreme defenders. And what they're going to do is defend our front line here from archers and heavy cavalry charges. That's going to allow us to flank even harder with the 6th Division. We can pull the 6th Division and these archers even further towards the enemy's left flank, our right flank. It allows us to extend our lines. And unless they do something really odd here, this force is about to get pulverized. This, I would say, is a superior tactic. It does require a little bit more coordination than the last battle. That square, or circle rather, with a bunch of shock troops in it, kind of sells itself, right? You could literally make that formation and then just leave it alone. Like anything that enters it is killed. But this is a lot more movement, right? So this is, I guess, we'll call this intermediate tactics. We're also funneling that infantry right in here as well. All these skirmishers, we just want them basically on the enemy's left flank. And then once these horse archers commit, and it's almost like they know it's a trap. Once they commit here, what are you guys doing? They're like running up at us. Shoot them. Kill them. This lord just suicides. Well, this is good too. If they want to go back and forth, they're being lit on fire by our archers. Every time they turn around, they take another round of flame-firing arrows. Let's push this 3rd and 6th into them. What we can do is extend this cav line. Just push them out a little bit more. That buys us security on our right flank. And now we can shove these units in. Look how fucking trapped they are. Archers, shock troops, skirmishers, and here you just charge. They're going to be pushed up into the hill. They can't shoot in that direction. Over here, our cavalry did a beautiful job of taking all the pressure off behind us here. And now the enemy dies. There's infantry in here, but they're badly outnumbered. They got a heavy hand behind them. I'm watchful for you motherfuckers throwing those spears now. I don't need another hit that does half my health. The squares over there can actually be brought to us. They've absorbed enough arrows at this stage. They can join the fray. And a little different tactical approach. We just got to dispatch this infantry now. Oh shit, time to go. There's an axe on my back. Hit my shield, I think. Alright, let's get these squares moved up. And I'll be surprised if these Khuzaits don't run off the field. That was at least a 4 or 5 to 1 kill ratio, that exchange. That was a butchering. Now we can move up and destroy the rest of the Khuzait. The archers can work on the horse archers while we move up. Look at this hill on the left here. It's a perfect reverse slope decline charge option. What you can do is you can put your troops behind it, and they'll be immune to arrows, immune to archers. They won't be able to see them. We can put our shields here on the right with archer support, and then tuck in our infantry on the left. And if they don't charge, we'll have to go over that ridge, but we can do so with shields first. They're still coming in with horse archers, right? And I wait until they're 100 meters away and then tell your archers to charge. They will instantly start firing in flaming arrows, and these horse archers are just cooked. Mentioned it before, but crossbow is utterly deadly to horse archers. It was amazing timing. Right before we were having battles against the Khuzait, the company of the boar, all they wanted is money to kill, and we happen to have a lot of it. Now they're starting to form a big defensive line there, so we want to get our infantry tucked in here first, right? Let's methodically move up here. There could be more Khuzaits, and we can still get reinforcements here, so you take no chances. It's a bunch of them. They have cav support on that side. Let's move the 6th and 3rd again to that other side. Archers move up as well. 1st and 2nd can come over this ridge. I'm down to a sliver. And then we'll bring the 3rd Division up here. once our 6th Division is in position. These guys have been on hold fire. Now they can fucking chuck in thousands of javelins. We can spin their formations while the 1st, 2nd, and 4th move up. The archers are shooting. The skirmishers are skirmishing. And the Nord force is going to start killing everything here. That 3rd Division, Isak the Terrible, is coming up from the rear. You know they're moving like they're on crack. That might be them already behind the enemy. The 6th Division here is getting all the attention. That's great. These are some of our best units. They have shields. They're out of javelins, it looks like, most of them. But look at that death span. That is sexy. Their force is swallowed up here now, and everybody fucking charge, right? This is easily an F1, F3 situation. What I like to do, though, is take at least one unit with speed and push it behind the enemy, right? That way they can't escape. They can't get to reinforcements, and if they're archers, they get shredded, although it looks like a lot of their archers are right here. And they're getting cooked. There they go. They're trying to escape. Nah. We're on, you guys. They got horse archers getting shredded. And I have no health. Literally, I can't see a single sliver of color there. But we're on our feet still. And this battle's over. The enemy's reeling. We've got a huge glob of troops here pouring through the center. It's like a 10-to-1 kill ratio. The horse archers are dying in a hurry over there. Marco's getting kills. And I like this, right? You just get off a boat and destroy a huge force. Get right back on a boat. You got your masseuse and your mistress. You know, they take care of a few injuries. They extract that spear from your eyeball. They pull it out of your skull. You're good to go. Reminds me of that scene. What was it called? It was called like The Martian, where that guy is like a robot and shit, and he gets his face melted and he's fine, right? Modern medicine, they just fix him right back up. I think that was The Martian. Or, I don't know, maybe that was District 9 or whatever. Anyways, another Khuzait force dispatched here in a hurry. And is there an answer to our army at this stage, right? Obviously, if it was 6,000, it might be the answer. But these armies, a little bit bigger than ours, is not going to cut it. The difficulty will be maxed here pretty soon, and we will see how extreme it gets. But in the short term, I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying some heavy-handed whippings. It's part of any book, any story. There's got to be a high point, right? Or at least a feeling of a high point. We're going to have trials and tribulation. There will be difficult spots for sure. We're going to have death. Right? Marius, again, I feel bad when guys die, but that's part of the campaign. I could just turn death off if I didn't want it to be part of the campaign. I want this campaign to feel epic. I want it to have highs and lows, and death is part of the highs of life here as our companions again. Leif continues to rip it as an archer. And we roll right on through. Now, we got to go get married still, right? All of this has been sort of delaying one of our goals, and that is to get married, right? Fortunately, Eric the Red hasn't died. It'll be kind of fucked up if he dies because it's not part of the plan, right? We're trying to get the guy married off. And, of course, Lagertha. If Lagertha died, I don't know. I might even save Scum for that, right? Because those two battles don't mean anything. And if you're watching this, obviously, she doesn't die. We got to go get her married off here to the Emperor. We got gear coming out of our ears. Get right back on our ship, right? There's the mistress. I can see her from here. The masseuse is on there. Some fine cooking, no doubt, from our wonderful Viking chef. He's making gruel. And let's see if there's any more, right? We've got this bird's eye view. They're raiding our ship, but that's okay. We left some food there. They should be able to withstand some raids without their ship falling apart. Now it's a question of finding the Emperor. The Emperor's been elusive so far, right? You get these sort of dated little updates on where they are. They're over by this village. They're over by that village. Now it's at Jerichos. It looks like he created an army. Probably is in an army. Now the bad news about that is I'm not sure he can get married. I think the system, it's not a great system, but I don't think you're allowed to get married. I don't think you are allowed to get married while you're in an army. I think you also can't, I think unless they've fixed it, you can't ask enemy lords to marry while you're in an army. For whatever reason, they're like, you're not You're not being respectful. You're coming in here guns blazing, right? Are you here for warfare? Or are you here for love? So I don't know. It's a little bit of a mystery. It says he's at Samantha. Samantha. That's a problem because I don't want to go that far down to find him. So we're not going to search forever for him, but at least there he is. He's in a big army right in front of us, or he's in a modest army right in front of us. In fact, he's probably coming to siege this city. The Khuzaits just took it. And indeed, it sure looks like it. So we're going to be able to talk to him. Ironically, I don't think you can get married while he's sieging either. Damn it. This is... Cut! You know, this is where you want as the producer to yell cut. So let me see what we do here. We've got to disband our army, but you guys know how it works. These smaller armies have to be at 40% of their capacity. 4-0. Otherwise, we're gonna have to give them some troops, because otherwise they won't rejoin your army. And I definitely don't want to lose these armies here. We might need them. There could be a big force of Khuzaits any moment. We might have to save the Emperor here. And again, we'll continue to build in the storyline, right? This new Emperor, the consolidation of a bunch of rebellious pacts. And boy, whether it's the United States or 100 other countries, they owe the birth of their country to a rebellion. And the Northern Empire has been brought back to life for this campaign. I like having this element in it, and it's nice to get allied. In fact, we'll approach them about another alliance here after we consummate the deal here. I think now we can get married, right? Ah, shit. All right, well, maybe we'll edit some of this out, or maybe we won't. I think we'll just roll right along here. We've got to... He can't be right in the middle of a siege. You can't have a wedding, like, I guess, right while the catapults are shooting. All the women get terrified or whatever. So, just siege it. There's 50 fucking defenders here. We'll just... we'll speed this along. I mean, he should just instantly start the siege as soon as he has siege weapons built. Man, the things you do to build a storyline. Wait a minute. Brynha, so Sigvatar Thodarsson's having sons. He's doing the horizontal dance here. And there he is, Emperor Nethor. He kind of looks like a Khuzait Nord. See if there's any good goods here in the city. Might as well, you know, buy some wedding gifts. We're gonna marry off Lagertha and look for a bride for Eric the Red here. Now, lately, there hasn't been any good equipment. It's been kind of strange. And what the fuck? That's like a typo. 20,000 raw silk? We have at least one velvet factory, so we'll take it. That's the mother lode. I've never seen that much anything besides food at a city. 20,000. What else do they got? 20,000. Man, that was wild. We'll take that, right? Raw silk. I guess we're out east. There's a whole bunch of silkworms, right? And so we're going to be able to use that. And here we go. All right. And do Lagertha. Let's see if Eric the Red, if they have an option for us. Chara. All right. She's nice to look at. She's got a scar across her face, but she's a beautiful woman. And you know what? This is optimal. She kind of looks like a governor here. Even though Eric maybe should be married to a warrioress, we can turn her into a warrioress, right? At first, she can be a governor. They can have kids. She's free. I never think that's appropriate. We'll give him a nice wedding gift for Chara. Eric the Red gets married, and now Lagertha. Let's see. Make sure that she doesn't have all of her elite equipment on. Same thing, right? We don't want to just give away our best equipment here. We'll give her some serviceable equipment, but I don't want to... She's got like legendary shit. Right? Like I'm not giving him one of our best berserker swords. So give me 60 seconds here while we strip our daughter here, right? We'll do some horrific shit. Anybody's wife is watching, he's like, what is he doing? He's taking all the clothes off of his daughter, his adult daughter. He's stripping her. We're gonna at least make sure she doesn't have any like that. That's too nice of armor. We only had like a couple, 3 sets of really high-end armor, and that's not gonna be something that we're gonna let out of our kingdom here. Now she's gonna be what? Imperial, right? We could give her some Imperial looking gear and take some of our really, really nice equipment back. I don't know, just something here that seems appropriate. Now, these units don't always wear that equipment. A lot of times you'll marry them off and you'll give them a sword or whatever, and the AI will take over and do whatever it wants, right? It'll put on a spear, it'll put her on a horse and put on totally different equipment here. So this might be moot, but I just don't want to give that up. A lordly gilded armor, right? That's a really nice piece of armor. I think we bought that at a city for like 600,000, right? It's really nice. So we're not that generous, right? And even though she looks like a second-hand store creation, that'll have to do. The good news is she doesn't get married in that gear. And here you go, dude. You can get married. Wait a minute. No. How come he doesn't want to get married? I looked. He doesn't have any. His wife is dead. Oh, you know, yeah. So this is what I was referring to earlier. He's in an army. We're not in an army, so we're eligible. Our army can get married. People in our force can get married, but he, I think, we'll have to try later on. I think that's what's going on. So I guess we'll save Lagertha for later, or maybe I'll do that off camera, right? We'll make it happen. I don't know if there's a mod that, you know, that you can make people get married, but some way or other, we'll make sure that Lagertha, we'll just call it, she's technically married. We'll just do some make-believe here. You're watching a fucking video game on YouTube. She's married to the Emperor. She's in our army here. It's a rent-a-wife. He's going to let us take her into combat for the next week or two until we can figure out some way to get her married to him. So, how about this? He accepts, right? The option is right there, and we don't have any resistance. So, in fact, Sigvatar agrees, right? So, call to war against the Nords. Yeah, we don't need any help with the Nords. They're way to the west, so let's, especially for all our money, let's turn that one down. He wants 98% of our money. We're printing money at this stage, right? So we're definitely going to do some calls of war here, but I think it makes sense that we turn that one down. Right now, I think they're at war with all the same kingdoms as us, right? So we don't need to do any call to war, right? He's already basically supporting us in all of our war endeavors. The Nords, realistically, we're at war with the Nords, but they're so busy with the Vlandians that they almost don't count. What I mean by busy with the Vlandians is every time I look or every time I watch the scoreboard on the bottom right or bottom left, such and such city is ripped apart by the Vlandians. Might be a little bit encumbered, but man, it's close, and it's also sort of sabotage on the Northern Empire. Of course, Glaron Heavyhand is really only using the Northern Empire. He has no actual interest in their expansion. We'll take all their food. We'll take all their silk, everything else. Let's get this wifey to us here. Oops, that's right. You got to be on land. Let's grab her. That way she can get to our force. We'll go to Omor and we'll deck her out. It looks like she has no armor on. A lot of times that seems to happen with the female lords in war sales. I've addressed it to the developers. Who knows if they'll ever pay attention to me, my lowly YouTube channel. And it's hilarious. We've taken all the food from the city, all the grain and fish, and we basically just looted the Northern Empire the legal way, buying all the city's food, and now it's going to become our food. This is, of course, something you want to do in your campaign. Unless you want your enemies to be stronger, every opportunity you get, buy all their food, buy all their grain, especially fish. And here she is. And man, that's a weird looking character spec. Of course, they're naked, right? They run around trying to punch people. It looks like she has some throwing skill. I'm not sure what she's throwing. We'll make sure she has plenty of children here. And it's really odd to see character specs. She can actually, let's see, let's at least make her serviceable on the battlefield. We're going to put her to war, right? She's Eric the Red's wife. She's not going to sit as a governor her whole life. So we'll make sure she can at least throw a throwing axe at the assassin trying to take her out. And let's get some, oh, she's not with us yet. And I think what we're going to do here is I think we're going to break these episodes up once we get to Omor. This has been about 45 minutes of gameplay. We'll probably edit out some of that city errands, housekeeping, buying this goods and selling this equipment, stuff like that. But we've got to, I was going to say, we've got to get back and deal with the Aserai here. We knew it was going to light up eventually. It's not Wazuban, but it's a large force. So there might be others nearby. This campaign rolls on, right? The Aserai to the west of us. Well, maybe eventually the Vlandians to the west of us, the Aserai to the south, and the Khuzaits to the east as the rage of the four powers continues. I'm actually going to take a break, so we're going to wrap it up right here. I think what we'll do is dump off this food in the stash, and we will wrap up this episode. In fact, I'll use this last 30 or 45 seconds here, do my normal spiel, and look at this. Look at the effect, right? 10,000 grain and 5,000 fish within the city. We're going to be able to load up our, I think, yeah, our velvet weavery right here. We need to get some, flax also, but we're going to be able to stuff endless amounts of silk. Suddenly our silk merchants are all just going to be working overtime, and we're going to be able literally to fill this warehouse full of silk. It's a small thing, and we probably don't need money in this campaign. However, with the new call to war thing, right, there is an argument to be made for building up your money, right? That way you can call an enemy, or excuse me, call an ally to war anytime you're struck by an enemy. It's nice having this alliance here, and I think we're going to kill this episode right here. Of course, if you want to see more from our campaign, from this Epic Nord campaign, I promise you twists and turns. I promise you're going to love it. If you don't, you get your time back. Actually, never mind. You don't get anything back, but I think you're going to love it. So please subscribe if you want to see more. On the way out, hit that like button, friends, and I will see you next time.